The topic for this month is activating the receptive mind. And this particular Sunday is the fingerprints of God. I don't know about you, but I feel the fingerprints of God all over me right now. I know Rumi said one of the best ways, in fact in his life, his way of really experiencing God was through poetry, music, and dance. In fact, he instigated the whirling dervishes that were taught to only love, to see love and be love, and express through dance. And I can see now that music has a way of piercing the veil of this physical reality. Do you feel it? We've pierced it. I thank you. And we have other ways to pierce it today too. And I want to welcome you, especially first-time visitors. I'm Sandy Moore, and it's a blessing to me always to say that I'm the founding minister here at this beautiful Center for Spiritual Living, Orange County, because we've got something good going on. Do you agree with me? Yeah. Those of you that have been here, we do. And those of you that are here for the first time, we just want to love all over you for just a second. So will you just have that courage and confidence to stand up that we can just say, welcome. Come on. I saw some new faces. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We appreciate you. We honor you, and we are blessed by your presence. Okay, feel it? We have up-leveled the energy. We have allowed the spirit and essence of God, we've opened up to it. You know, if we can't find God, the question is, who moved? Think about it. I have another thing for you to think about this morning, because we're talking about mystical experiences. That's the essence of this morning and this talk and the fingerprints of God. I want you to just think about, how big is your God? We have free will, so God can be just as big as we choose. Now, if you don't know how to measure it, I'll give you a little measuring stick. Pull out your worry list. Okay? Just pull it out. And look at the size of your worry list, because the longer your worry list, the smaller your God. And that is a good segue to mystical experiences. Ernest Holmes says that we are both the inlet and the outlet of God. If God is all there is, which we teach, the energy and essence of God is all there is, we must be a piece of that infinite good, that energy. We must be. So if we're the inlet and outlet of God, how do we come to a greater awareness of the truth of who we are? How do we understand there's something more than this physical experience? When is the point that we jump off the cliff of fear and doubt and insecurity into the sea of faith? When is it? What is it that catapults us into that place that we're able to open ourselves up to a greater faith? Mystical experiences do that. They do pierce the veil to make us recognize and know that we are spiritual beings having a physical experience. Now, being spiritual beings having a physical experience doesn't mean there won't be pain, because there will be pain. It doesn't mean there won't be sorrow or hurt or lack or problems. It just means we get up faster. Now, spiritual and mystical experiences happen in many ways. They can happen in the pedestrian moments of our lives. Now, that doesn't mean the moments when we're walking down the street, but the moments that are just ordinary, non-miracle moments. I had a mystical experience this week as I was driving down beautiful Olympiad Parkway. No cars on the road, sun coming in, everything was green and beautiful, and I was feeling good until I looked in my rearview mirror. And the lights are turning. Okay? Now, I have never had a speeding ticket. Okay, and I was speeding, and I knew I was speeding, and it felt good, and nobody was around, and I wasn't causing any problems, or so I thought. Now, I don't mean that I'm an exemplary driver. I've actually hit 2 parked cars. Both of them were Kirk's. Thank God we keep it in the family, okay? So as these lights are twirling around behind me, I'm thinking, okay, God, I guess I'm being reminded of all the times that I haven't been the best driver. So we pull over, and he looks in the mirror. Do you know how fast you were going? And I said, well, apparently not. But I did. Anyway, apparently not. And he said, do you know the speed limit? And I said, well, apparently not again. And he said, well, you were going 68 in a 45. And I went, oh my gosh, that. And he thought I was going to start talking back to him. He said, now listen to me. And I said, I'm not going to argue with you. And I had no intention of arguing. I was kind of like in a wow mode. Wow, 68 and a 45, interesting. And I said, well, I want you to know I've never had a speeding ticket before. So I'm getting my things out, and he walks back, and I'm thinking, okay, what's in this? So when he comes back, he's writing the ticket, and I said, could you tell me what my lesson in this is? Pretty smart, huh? But I really wanted to know, this had to be a mystical experience. It had to be, because I was in that place, And he said, well, first of all, I'm not going to write you up at 68. I'll only write you at 63, so it won't be that expensive. And I said, thank you. And he said, and you can go to traffic school. And I went, oh, thank you. Well, thank you. And he said, and the lesson is you need to focus. I went, oh, tell me more. I thought, if we believe that we're all God in action, this was God speaking to me, and I had to get the most out of this expensive, not only financially expensive, but it was going to take a whole day on Saturday in traffic court. I had to get the most out of this. I said, yes, so I was really attentive, and he had an opportunity to give me really the value of what he does. You need to be focused when you're driving down the street. You need to be focused. And I'm thinking, you know what? There are things I need to focus more on. And I was like really in awe and wonder. I said, thank you. Really, thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm sure he's just going, but he didn't know what happened. But anyway, I sped away, happy, like, wow, I'm going to really, that's a lesson, a class I just paid for. It's interesting when we can get mystical experiences, when we're willing to step out of the, woe me, into the possibility of what is being revealed. Now, mystical moments happen in those pedestrian moments. I'm reading a book called The Fingerprints of God. And it's not a book I definitely recommend. It's more about the studies of mystical experiences. A woman who was a Christian Scientist, and she was raised Christian Scientist all her life until she got a little older in her late 20s, and she was feeling really ill, and she took an aspirin that a friend had left, and she felt so much better. She said, there's some truth in this medicine thing. So she kind of stepped away from her religious science beliefs, and now she's a Christian, but she also embraces all the beliefs. So she studied mystical experiences. And what came up for her is the greatest opportunity. Now, I want you to hear this, because I saw our prayer line up here. You heard Pat having to give the first time in the life of this center that we've had to actually ask people on a Sunday morning, could you up the ante? We need your help. We really need your help. This is the first time. So there's things right now that we might consider broken. And she said in all the studies, the greatest mystical experiences came from brokenness. Brokenness. When we no longer can use our human resources to solve a problem. Now I want you to get that. When God comes through in the greatest way is when because we're stubborn humans. That's the only reason, because God is always there. But the way God comes through in the greatest way is when we break open, when we can no longer rely on our human self to solve the problems. Do you know what I mean? We can't do that anymore. And we have to know there's something greater at work. Something greater. I remember, now I don't know what archetype you've grown up as, but I was in the archetype of the good girl, the people pleaser, because that got me what I wanted from my family and school, and that's what I fit into. So that kind of was the archetype that I've lived by until there came a point in my life where I was broken open. And I did something that wasn't very nice. I mean, I've done other things that aren't very nice, but this one really wasn't very nice. But after we lost our